Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, today we are going to go over some headlines that came out over the weekend, particularly yesterday. We're going to talk about those headlines. We will talk about what actually occurred and provide some additional statements that might be incredibly revealing, enlightening. Then we're going to talk about what was probably the intent behind the headlines and what is actually happening now. Okay, so DOJ can't sink any lower after attempted jailing of Hunter Biden's ex-partner Devon Archer before his testimony. Man, that sounds bad. DOJ tries to jail key Hunter Biden witness Devon Archer on eve of congressional testimony. DOJ pushes for crucial Hunter Biden witness to report to prison before congressional testimony. The Fed's timing reeks of bias. A whole bunch of them, right? Okay, so what's happening? Hunter Biden's business partner, longtime business partner, I guess. He is going to testify, closed-door meeting, I think, with Congress. He's going to talk to them. Now, according to the reporting, back in 2018, he was convicted of a crime. Okay, he was sentenced, I want to say February 28th, 2022. He still hasn't reported. He still hasn't surrendered and actually gone to prison because of the appeals process that has been playing out. The appeals are kind of up at the moment, at least those that are currently filed. So DOJ files asking the judge to set a sentencing date. That's what happened. Now let's be clear about a few things. First and foremost, let's just assume that the court sides with DOJ. Okay, that decision would probably come after the meeting. And even if the court decides to go with DOJ, the surrender date would be weeks beyond that, because the Bureau of Prisons has to determine where to send him. It's just not entirely accurate. Now, the DOJ did put out a letter trying to clarify this. The government writes to follow up on its July 29th, 2023 letter apprising the court of the second court's mandate affirming the judgment of conviction in this matter. The government understands that the defendant is scheduled to provide testimony to Congress tomorrow, July 31st, 2023. To be clear, the government does not request and has never requested that the defendant surrender before his congressional testimony. As the court knows, to surrender and commence a sentence of imprisonment, the defendant must first be designated to a federal facility by the Bureau of Prisons, a process that can take several weeks or months after the court sets a surrender date. Nonetheless, for the avoidance of all doubt, the government requests that any surrender date, should the court order one, be scheduled to occur after the defendant's congressional testimony is completed. So they have that. Now, it's also worth noting that the lawyer for the person who's going to be giving the testimony said, to be clear, Mr. Archer does not agree with that speculation, meaning the speculation about DOJ trying to lock him up before his testimony and all of that. So, the headlines are certainly less than accurate. They do not paint a complete picture of what's going on. Now, my guess is they saw a moment, or at least the people who pushed this narrative for the papers to get a hold of it, they saw a moment to create something sensational, to capitalize on the idea of Biden's DOJ doing something super bad and shady and all of that. I'm sure that on some level, it was probably designed to create sympathy for the person who's going to give testimony. I would imagine that now that all of this information has come out, all it really did was highlight the fact that he's awaiting going to prison. It's probably one of those things where the sensationalism, the drive to get clicks, to create a story, it might have actually hurt the cause of the people who were trying to sensationalize something for their own benefit. Now, to be clear, these headlines were based off of narratives that were created by commentators, politicians, stuff like that. But it is absolutely not what any documentation reveals. The two things are kind of unrelated. Just so happens that it's a coinciding event. But I don't think those who manufactured this are going to get what they want. Again, to be clear, the person giving the testimony, their own attorney, said that that's not what was going on. But undoubtedly, because that narrative went out, it'll stick for a while. People will still talk about it until people start to understand and it gets debunked. Because when a narrative gets manufactured over the weekend, well, a lot of times there's nobody around in government offices to correct it. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.